the short version of the Bible, but he didn't mention Afghanistan and a couple other places that we as Marines would go where the nation needs us most. So I just want to say good evening. Good evening to my brothers and sisters. I'm excited, to have Big T in here. He and I served together, over the years, and I think I was either next door to him at VMTR 152, Sumos as a sergeant major. He was over at 262 with the 46th Squadron, and Alyssa, at that time, she was about 3 years old. And so here we are, she's now 25 and everything, and so, now it's Reggie's fault. But, I'm just honored to be here as a guest, and just to be a proud American. But we have many reasons tonight to be thankful. I'd like to say thank you to the spouses that grace us this evening with their beauty and just having their presence here, especially, the women are so dressed, so impressed. So y'all can just stand. All the ladies stand, please. All the ladies stand so we can do thank you. And if we can admit it's because of that good thing, we was able to go do what the nation had called us to do. And I know a lot of y'all had to brush off that red jacket. Y'all look pretty sharp tonight as well. Everyone except that other person. I'll let you have a name on it. But on this 250th celebration of the birth of a band of brothers, found in a place called Tun Tavern in Philly. I learned the 6 articles of the Code of Conduct when he talked about in Newburgh, New York. I got a little brown book from a guy named Staff Sergeant Alexander Peace when he was coming out on Broadway out of that recruiter's office back in Newburgh when I was 17 years old. And I remember that little brown book had 6 articles of the Code of Conduct. I used to walk around NFA, and I used to ask all my friends, ask me anything in this book. And one guy said, what's Article 5 of the Code of Conduct? Article 5 of the Code of Conduct says, I am an American. I serve in the forces which guard my country, and I wear life. I'm prepared and give my life in their defense. Something occurred in me when I saw him wearing those dress blues. And I was determined to be one of the few, the proud, the Marines. And nearly 40 years ago, in January 1987, I was the only history instructor at Paris Island, charged to teaching every recruit that came through Paris Island from January to July of 1987. I taught different areas of our history. And my counterpart, who was out in San Diego, he taught the same thing, so thereby that every recruit will get the exact same thing of what it is to earn the title United States Marine. And when I receive a new series of recruits on that opening intention game, I always said, my name is Drill Instructor Sergeant Durham, and I am over 190 years of Marine Corps history. Through me, you will see the Marine Corps grow to the finest organization it is today. Since 10 November 1775, the Marines have proven themselves to be fierce, relentless, and courageous fighters on any battlefield. Out of all the fighting forces in the world, we are the undisputed heavyweight champion. Amen. Drill instructors didn't like that, but when I opened up with their history, every recruit in there started saying, "Hoorah!" No drill instructor wanted to recruit to be that excited in first phase. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight, we gather not just to celebrate a birthday, but to honor a legacy. 250 years of grit, sacrifice, and simple fidelis. Since my retirement 15 years, 7 days, 11 hours, 23 minutes, and a few seconds ago, I have thought more and more than ever in my life what it is to be a Marine and to serve side by side with Marines in battle and at home. It's truly something to be proud of in the values Marines stand for. A legacy written by Marines and those who serve side by side with Marines in battle and at home, in the frigid cold of Korea, in the sands of Iwo Jima, in the jungle of Vietnam, in the streets of Fallujah, whether in a desert in Iraq or Afghanistan, or base or golf course in a country club here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The sentiment is the same. And the hearts of every Marine who has ever earned the title. Tonight, it is truly something to be proud of. And I am having the values of the Marine Corps staying in the presence of for all of us, and wherever a Marine rests his or her boots. And as I ponder on this moment, I'm amazed how we as Marines can turn even a birthday cake into a ceremony infused with symbolism. We use a sword to cut the cake as a reminder that the Marines and sailors who serve with us are a band of brothers and sisters, shock troops and leathernecks and devil dogs with a history of professional character. It is all in the second piece of cake that reinforced the history of our Corps, a legacy of older Marines like Mr. Smith, nurturing those following in their footsteps that would maintain our history of professionals who had character. 45 years ago, I had earned the right and privilege to attend the Marine Corps birthday ball. But because I was a MOJET, a Marine on-the-job trainer, and student, no one emphasized that we should go to the birthday ball. And also back in those days, they didn't issue dress blue uniforms. So I felt that because I didn't have a set of dress blues that I shouldn't go to a birthday ball. So I didn't attend the first year. But the very next year, I purchased a dress blue jacket from a Lance corporal that was getting out of our Corps. And you guessed it, in 1981, I attended my first birthday celebration. Fast forward, Tina and I started our journey in the Corps by attending a Marine Corps birthday ball November the 6th, 1998. 3 days later, we became one. And so tonight we gather not just to celebrate a date on the calendar, but to honor 250 years of trendsetting, 250 years of sending the enemy back into their holes, 250 years of battlefield success and glory, and given by God purposes. 2.5 centuries ago, in a tavern in Philadelphia, a few brave souls answered the call. They became the first Marines, and from that moment forward, the world would not be the same. No matter what you did, wherever you went through, or whatever timeline, whether you was on the battlefield or on the child line, your labor and service was important. Be proud of your contribution towards the 250 years of our history. There's only one thing greater than serving in the United States of America, and that's serving as a United States Marine.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Hoorah. And as we celebrate tonight, tomorrow on active duty, reserve warriors and active Marines will be called upon during these days of global uncertainty and this world moral decay. And I ask the question to all of us that's here, who will stand up and challenge the conventional wisdom and buck the system and speak up on the issues important to our Marines and sailors and to our nation's security and defense. And so tonight we find nearly an entire map of Marines and sailors in places called Yemen, Romania, Djibouti, Guatemala, Timor, Gulf of Aden, Uganda, North Arabian Sea, West Filipino Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, supporting ICE and embedded in Afghanistan and throughout the Middle East, and all these are in harm's way. And while we celebrate our traditions, it is people like you who continue to represent and wear the Eagle Globe and Anchor on this side of service throughout our nation. I'm reminded you are never ready to live until you have something you are prepared to die for. John reminds us in John the 15th chapter, in verse 13, I like the way the Living Translation and the Passion Translation says it. For the greatest love of all is the love that sacrifices all. And this great love is demonstrated when a person, perhaps a Marine, perhaps a sailor, sacrifices life for his friends. And when I was the first Marine Aircraft Wing Sergeant Major, I was overly joyed when I read some of the reports concerning Marines and sailors as their battlefield accomplishments and updates. One in particular was Corporal Dave. Corporal Dave's words reminded me when he wrote 20 years ago when he was in Fallujah. To his dad, he said, "It is incredibly humbling to walk among such men. They fought as hard as any Marines in history, and they deserve to be remembered as such. It was a fight to the finish in every sense of the way, and Marines delivered. My whole life, I have read about the greatest generation, and I sat and wondered at their accomplishments." Corporal Dave ended his letter by saying, "For the first time, as I watch these Marines, I am eager for the future, as this is just the beginning for them. Perhaps the most amazing characteristic of all is that the morale of the men are extremely high. They hurt for the wounded and the dead, but they are eager to continue to attack. Further, not one of them would be comfortable by being called a hero, even though they truly are." And as I reflect on this moment, having my wife here, my daughter, my last born son, and my number one son-in-law. He's my number one. I'm reminded of the oaths that have shaped my life. Words spoken, not for ceremony, but for conviction. I, Devell, Durham Jr., do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You remember that oath? You remember that oath, and at some point in the 250 years, it had to mean something. I've taken that oath into being the head of my family in the way that I do life against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And in the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. It's easier to talk about character and to think about changing our character than to actually do these things. Our former Commandant, General Krulak, shared with us some 30 years ago. He said, "We are not born with character. It is developed by the experiences and decisions that guide our lives." He said, "All of us must care about our character because the American public deserves it. With all the bad that's in the world, they really need a core of character." And every Marine that has ever served came from a place where we were nobodies, like Newark, New York, or Tampa, Florida, and they made a decision to join the best known throughout the world, to become serving and to become a Marine. And they made all of us somebody. And so for all who want to do more than just talk, there will never be a lack of opportunities, especially for those who want to serve and celebrate our core for the next 250 years and be a part of the finest fighting force in the world. To observe a Marine and bear witness to the families who serve by our side is inspirational. To be a Marine on active duty is exceptionally and extraordinary. And while serving as a drill instructor at Paris Island in 1986, I witnessed the quote that moves all Marines. When Ronald Reagan came down there when I was a 1, the Lejeune building, and he made that profound statement. Most people spend a lifetime wondering if they made a difference. Marines don't have that problem. But there is a sacrifice in service. America likes saying thank you. Thank you for your service. But in reality, it's a huge sacrifice to serve as a Marine. My mother died while I was doing the nation's business. My father died while I was doing the nation's business. I missed birthdays while I was doing the nation's business. I missed events, school events, while doing the nation's business. There is a sacrifice in being a Marine. It's beyond service. So the Marine Corps has never been just a fighting force. It's a promise. A promise that when the nation calls, someone will answer. And tonight, we remember them. We honor them. We carry their legacy forward. And I've seen what Semper Fidelis looks like in real life. It's not just a motto. It's a way of being always faithful to country, to your comrades, to the cause of freedom. And as we mark this 250th birthday, let us recommit ourselves, not just to the remembrance, but to action. Let us teach our children what it means to serve. Let us fight for those still waiting for recognition. Let us build communities where every Marine, past and present, knows they are seen and valued and have never been forgotten. So tonight we gather not just to celebrate a date on the calendar, but to honor 250 years of hoorah. 250 years, oh glory, 250 years of the God-given purpose to end, and to that end, 2.5 centuries in a tavern in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, 250 brave soldiers who did not look like me and did not look like you, but they had a heart just like us. And Captain Robert E. Mullins and Captain Samuel Nicholas, they became our first Marine command commandant and our first Marine recruiter. And to every Marine who has ever worn this Eagle Globe and Anchor, thank you. You are the reason freedom still reigns. And to those who stand watch tonight in deserts, on ships, and in silent corners of this world, I've sat in some of those corners over the years. We salute you. And as we told, and as I tell, and was told that the detachment of North Carolina, when I became the commander, as he said in June 21st, 2025, at 1340, I made another pledge that I will inspire and I will engage every individual in North Carolina until all of North Carolina understands, Corps-wide, that promise carries the same fire that the path as a young Marine. Because being a Marine isn't something you age out of. It's a lifelong calling. It doesn't end, even in the grave. A scout may say there's a Marine. It never ends. Because being a Marine isn't what you think it is. It's a sacred trust. The same fire that still burns in every one of us in this room. Everyone that wears the Eagle Globe and Anchor. So tonight, as we raise our glasses and cut our cake, remember, we are the heirs of 250 years of valor. We are the keepers of a proud tradition. And we are the living proof that oaths still matter. So happy birthday, Marines. Hoorah. Hoorah. May we always be faithful. May we always be ready. And may we always lead with honor. And may our legacy live on every heart that dares to carry the name a united States Marine. Hoorah. Hoorah.